First of all, let's ask ourselves, what is the main objective or philosophy of governments around the world? The main philosophy is to make sure that you can actually develop your people and create real economic transformation in the economy. So everybody has a better life, that incomes of everyone improve. I think that's a fairly common objective of governments around the world, and it's an appropriate objective. But in order for us to do that, in order for us to achieve that goal, we need growth. We can't have development and transformation or growth. They have to go together. In other words, you have to grow the pie. And going with it, you need all of these other ingredients. You need increased investment. You need investor confidence so the money comes in. You need political stability and certainty. And you need capacity within government and other institutions to deliver. Only then will you get growth, and only then will you get development of people and economic transformation. Now, if you believe that story, then what do we need to do from here? We need to grow the mining economy, right? If we're miners, the mining economy, because the mining economy can help grow the overall economy. Now, why do I say that? First of all, if you look at two examples, the BRICS countries, 5 of them, here mining makes up about 2% of GDP, which is worth about $200 billion. If you look at another analysis we've done, we've taken the top 20 resource countries around the world, and we've taken those countries that have a growth rate or a contribution rather from mining of more than 5%. And those top 7 add up to 10% of GDP in those 7 countries, about $140 billion. Now remember those numbers for me, because I'm going to demonstrate what we can do with those numbers. But before I go there, the other important thing is, if you didn't think mining was important, in 2010, the economies of 40 countries were driven by mining to the extent that 25% of their export earnings were accounted for in mining. 25%, 40 countries. That figure was 29 countries in 1996. So mining is important. It's become even more important. So I think that demonstrates the importance of mining. So let's look at the mining GDP pie and what we're going to do here. The multiplier effect of mining, we've often heard about this. Mining creates more value. And again, we've done some work here, and we've looked at research that's been done, is that your GDP contribution of mining in terms of the impact it has on your direct suppliers, that's your first round impact, adds more value. Then you've got the indirect impact, the suppliers of your suppliers. Then you've got the induced impact, which is putting more money in the pockets of people at home who can in turn invest and spend more money. Now, if you add all of that up, that's the so-called induced impact. If you add all of that up, then every 1% GDP growth in mining is worth about 2.6% for an overall economy. And what we've done is we've explored this in goldfields in 3 jurisdictions in which we operate: South Africa, Ghana, and Peru. So this is based on pretty good empirical data that we've been able to access. So remember that stat as well, because that is effectively the economic multiplier. But now there's another multiplier as well. Let's look at the mining industry in South Africa as a proxy for what else mining does. Directly, the mining industry employs about 500,000 people in South Africa. Indirectly, and impacted jobs that come as a consequence of those direct jobs of 500,000 are about another 900,000. So you're talking about 1.4 million jobs supported by the industry, direct and indirect. In turn, on average, there's about 9 dependents per worker. It doesn't matter if you're a direct worker, an indirect worker. On average, there's about 9 dependents in SA. And in fact, these figures in other developing countries, like Peru, which has a very similar Gini coefficient to South Africa, by the way, and Ghana, aren't that much different. So effectively, one job in the mine actually is looking after the interests of 27 people. That's the impact of mining. That is very, very substantial. So if we can protect jobs, if we can grow jobs, look at what we can do to alleviate poverty and to change people's lives. It's quite significant. So the benefits that I've just talked about in terms of the impact on the economy, the impact on jobs, go much further than that. Because I think we have to face up to facts too. And let me say it before somebody asks the question. We may not always create as much new jobs in mining as we would like, because mechanization and technology is coming at us, and we can't live in the dark ages. And one of the things that we're going to see in the mining industry in South Africa in the next 5 or 10 years, I don't think there's going to be too many youngsters coming in who want to actually kneel at a rock face and hold a rock drill. If we can't provide a different solution for them that enhances and embraces technology, we're going to have a problem. And I think they're justified in their concerns. So we may not create as many new jobs, but let's look at it this way. If we create value, we can create new capital. We can create capital inflow. Capital can be reinvested into other things that will create jobs. So I don't think we should be too concerned about saying, let's not embrace technology. It's going to be safer, and it's going to create value, and it'll create jobs in a different way. The other thing is technology transfer. By actually embracing technology and innovation, we can change the way we do things. We can upskill our people, and that's going to be the way of the future, surely. We have to upskill all of our people. Then you've got the knock-on effect in terms of investment in enabling infrastructure that supports mining, and a catalyst for other industries as well. So these are all of the other benefits, and I believe that we haven't fully quantified these benefits in what we've talked about earlier. These benefits go beyond the pure quantification. So we've tried to do a couple of very crude examples. Now, I said earlier that if you look at the BRICS countries and the 7 resource-rich countries we've identified, if you work out the weighted average contribution, only the direct impact of those, it's about 3% of GDP, which works out to about $340 billion. It's just aggregating those two pies earlier. And if you look at the multiplier effect I've talked about, 2.6 times, already you're seeing that that contribution adds up to about $850 billion. That's a baseline, right? Now, if we could improve that by just 1% in those 12 countries, 5 in the BRICS, 7 in the other resource-rich countries, we could add value of $9 billion. That's what we could add, just 1%. Imagine if we could add 1% compounded per year for 5 years, $45 billion.